He who builds on the weak lays the foundation of his own fall. To rule the world of fools, you must first stop playing by their rules. We are surrounded by the incompetent. The loudest often rise, not the wisest. Leadership today is more noise than strategy. But a fool in power is not the end, only a door, one that the cunning can walk through, quietly. Machiavelli was no enemy of virtue. He was an enemy of illusion. He did not despise goodness. He simply understood its limits in a world ruled by ambition, fear, and self-interest. When he wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved," if you cannot be both, he was not dismissing the value of loyalty or admiration. He was revealing a cruel but eternal truth: fear is dependable, affection is fleeting. But even deeper than fear, Machiavelli valued one thing above all: understanding the game of power, the game of appearances, the game of timing, perception, and control. He did not call for brutality without cause. He called for precision. He taught rulers not to rage but to calculate, not to fight openly but to manipulate quietly, and above all, not to react like common men, but to rule like architects of reality. He understood that most people are not strategic. They act based on emotion, vanity, and impulse. The unworthy, especially when in power, become predictable. Their arrogance blinds them, and their need for validation exposes them. To Machiavelli, this was not frustrating. It was useful. It was a pattern to be studied. You don't destroy such people with confrontation. That gives them stature. You don't waste your strength proving their incompetence. That gives them attention. Instead, you do what a fox does in the forest of lions. You move silently, patiently, and let their weakness become your advantage. You wait for the moment they overextend. You speak when silence would make you suspicious, and stay silent when they expect noise. You keep your intentions veiled behind agreeable words and modest gestures, and behind that mask you build your strategy. Machiavelli believed that appearances mattered, not because they reveal truth, but because they protect it. A wise man should appear just, loyal, and principled, while internally holding the clarity to do what must be done when the time demands it. This is not hypocrisy. It is survival in a world ruled by those who reward performance over principle. To outsmart the unworthy, you must understand what they crave. They crave praise, attention, submission. Feed their ego just enough to keep them blind. Let them believe they are winning. Let them underestimate you. For nothing is more dangerous than a quiet opponent with patience. The great trick is to make your rise seem like their idea. Let them open the door while thinking they are locking it. Let them elevate you to proximity, not knowing you will use that position not to flatter, but to observe, to plan. This is how kingdoms are taken without armies, how leaders fall without wars. Machiavelli's strategy was never about open rebellion. It was about internal conquest. Let your enemy rot from within while your roots grow under their feet. And what of morality? Machiavelli never denied its usefulness, only its overuse. He understood that in a perfect world, the good would rule. But in this world, the good must learn to be clever or be ruled by fools. His counsel was not cruelty, it was clarity. It was the discipline of seeing the world not as we wish it to be, but as it truly is, and acting accordingly. So, if you find yourself surrounded by the unworthy, take heart. Their weakness is not your obstacle. It is your stage. Rule does not come to the loud or the loudest. It comes to the one who knows when to strike and when to disappear. That is Machiavelli's timeless lesson. The first rule of power is not to speak. It is to observe. Machiavelli did not praise the loud, the impulsive, or the righteous. He praised the calculated, the controlled, the one who saw through the theater of fools without stepping onto their stage. Observation is not weakness, it is the discipline of kings. Because those who watch carefully control what others act upon blindly, never confront incompetence directly. To do so is to elevate it. A fool thrives when they are noticed, when they are debated, argued with, attacked. It gives them the illusion of significance. But when left alone, unanswered, unchallenged, their flaws amplify themselves. They reveal more with every move. Their own ego becomes your instrument. Watch their words, not for wisdom, but for cracks. Watch how they manage power, how they react under pressure, how they treat those they do not need to impress. A fool is always consistent in one thing: vanity. And vanity leaves patterns. It exposes fears, triggers ambitions. The more predictable a man becomes, the easier he is to dismantle. But the error most make is rushing in. To confront stupidity as if it were injustice. To rage at weakness as if it were strength. That is not strategy. It is sentiment. Machiavelli warned against this. The ruler who allows himself to be provoked has already lost the game, for he has descended to the level of the unworthy, and now wrestles in their mud. Instead, observe. First and always, let your silence be the pressure they cannot understand. Let your stillness make them uneasy. A man who cannot read you will try to define you, and in that miscalculation, he reveals himself. Most people react. You must resist. The more you train yourself to not speak, not correct, not defend, the more you rise above the chaos. This is not cowardice, it is command. Observation gives you what no outburst ever will: leverage. It gives you a map of the landscape while others run in circles. It gives you time. And in politics, time is not neutral, it is a weapon. When you observe, you learn where others are blind. You hear what they try to hide. You see what they don't know they're showing. Their alliances, their insecurities, their ambitions, all revealed not by interrogation, but by silence. Restraint is not inaction, it is preparation. It is letting others expend their energy while you conserve yours. Let the unworthy play their roles. Let them talk, let them posture. Their need to prove themselves is their greatest vulnerability. While they perform, you prepare. And when you do act, it is precise, devastating, and final. A single move born of weeks of study is worth more than 1,000 reactions made in anger. This is the difference between the ruled and the ruler. The ruled act from feeling. The ruler acts from timing. So, train yourself in the art of watching. Say less than you know. Reveal less than you feel. When others speak, listen not only to their words, but to what they're trying to hide. When others move, note the rhythm, the pattern, the predictability. Every fool eventually shows you their strategy. Every mask eventually slips, but only to those patient enough to wait. Rule does not begin with action, it begins with awareness, and that awareness is only earned through the discipline of observation. In the court of the unworthy, the clever man wears a loyal face, not because he is loyal, but because loyalty is a useful illusion. Machiavelli understood the psychology of power better than any man of his time. He knew that in a world ruled by ego, those who appear obedient are given access, while those who appear ambitious are crushed early. The ruler who speaks of his plans dies before he builds them, but the one who bows, smiles, and watches, he is forgotten until it is too late. To outsmart the unworthy, you must never reveal your independence too soon. Incompetent leaders are deeply insecure. They fear those who think too much, speak too little, or act too calmly. They sense threat not through action, but through silence. Your quiet mind disturbs them. Your composure exposes their chaos, and so to survive in their system, you must disarm them. You disarm them with praise, not protest. You agree when you disagree. You smile when they speak nonsense. You make them feel powerful, even when you are pulling the strings beneath the table. This is not deceit, it is strategy. The mistake of the naive is believing that loyalty and honesty must walk together. Machiavelli taught otherwise. He wrote, "A prudent man should always follow in the footsteps of great men and imitate those who have been supreme." What he meant was simple. Greatness is often built not through confrontation, but through alignment that hides ambition. Appearing loyal buys you time. It grants you access. It gives you front row seats to the patterns of failure. While the unworthy boast, you build. While they take credit, you take notes. While they expose themselves, you fortify your mind. And while they see you as a harmless supporter, you quietly become their replacement. But never confuse the appearance of loyalty with submission. Submission is belief. Loyalty is performance. You are not there to serve. You are there to study. Every meeting, every command, every slip of their mask gives you material, because a fool in power eventually falls. And when they do, it is often their loyal allies who rise in their place. You must not rush. You must not speak prematurely. Timing is the soul of strategy. Speak of your vision only when it is already becoming real. Until then, act like the weather, calm, predictable, invisible, because true threats never announce themselves. And should they grow suspicious, offer them reassurance. Play small, act grateful, let them feel superior. The greater their ego, the easier it is to blind them with flattery. Remember this, it is not betrayal to rise above the incompetent. It is betrayal to your own mind if you kneel to them for too long. So build quietly. Develop alliances subtly. Create systems of support that do not wear your name yet. Become so essential behind the scenes that the moment they fall, the power structure naturally bends toward you. When the time comes, you will not have to take the throne. It will be offered, because none will be more prepared than the one they overlooked. This is Machiavellian excellence, not brute strength, but the silent orchestration of your ascent, from behind the veil of loyalty. The great flaw of the unworthy is not simply their incompetence. It is their predictability. They are creatures of habit, enslaved not by principles, but by ego. And ego, when studied long enough, becomes a pattern, a rhythm, a script, a system that can be anticipated, mirrored, and ultimately controlled. Machiavelli understood that every weak leader believes they are original. They overestimate their cleverness, repeat their behaviors, and surround themselves with sycophants who echo their vanity. But this makes them the easiest kind of opponent to dismantle, not through force, but through design. Their downfall begins the moment you recognize their loops. Watch closely. Do they seek praise after every minor success? Then you know they need validation to act. Do they rage when questioned? Then they fear exposure. Do they take credit for others' work? Then they will rely on your efforts while assuming the risks are theirs to delegate. Each pattern becomes a lever. Each repeated behavior becomes a scripted role you can manipulate. Once you can predict how someone will act, you control the space around them. This is not paranoia, this is power. Let them speak, let them repeat, let them reveal. For every time they show you their reaction, you gain control over your next move. You are not reacting, you are shaping. To exploit predictability, Machiavelli would advise 3 tools: anticipation, reflection, and misdirection. Anticipation: before the weak make a decision, ask yourself, what would a person driven by fear or pride do here? Likely, they will choose the path that makes them feel safe or admired, not the path that is wise. Expect it, plan 2 moves beyond it, and when they act, you will already be there, calm, ready, untouchable. Reflection: hold up a mirror, but subtly. Frame suggestions that sound like their own ideas. Feed them words they like to hear. Make your strategy appear to be their instinct. The unworthy love their voice, so echo it just enough to lead them astray. Misdirection: predictability makes them blind to real threat. If they always expect you to follow, break rhythm. If they expect silence, speak. If they expect rebellion, submit for now. The moment they believe they've understood you is the moment they stop watching. That is when you strike. The key is never to interrupt the fool while they are playing their role. Let them believe they are in control. Let them become addicted to their habits. Over time, they will trap themselves in a cycle of performance, and cycles are easy to collapse when you hold the fulcrum. Do not fear their confidence. It is a mask for insecurity. Do not fight their routine. Turn it into your roadmap. Do not rush their fall. Set the stage and let gravity do the rest. Machiavelli would say, "A prince must learn how not to be good, and use that knowledge as necessity requires." You are not exploiting them to be cruel. You are exploiting them to restore order, clarity, and rightful rule. The unworthy do not fall because of enemies. They fall because of their own momentum, repeated too often, too loudly, too carelessly. And you, the one who paid attention, will already have a throne waiting, because while they lived in patterns, you lived in strategy. Power, in its most dangerous form, is silent. It does not announce itself. It does not beg for attention. It does not seek applause. Instead, it grows, quietly, patiently, methodically, until the moment comes when it no longer asks for the throne. It is given. Machiavelli understood this well. He warned against premature displays of strength. He advised rulers and seekers of influence to build foundations in silence, far from the courts of gossip and envy. A man who speaks of his plans too soon attracts opposition. But a man who builds in shadow becomes unstoppable when revealed. This is the art of quiet power. While the unworthy perform, you prepare. While they seek validation, you seek leverage. While they build images, you build influence. And when they fall, because they always fall, you are the only one standing on solid ground. Quiet power is not passivity. It is strategy in its purest form. Start by mastering the unseen levers of influence. Build relationships not with the powerful, but with the indispensable: secretaries, advisors, assistants, the people who control access, flow, timing. These are the people who matter long before the rulers know it. Earn their trust without seeking visibility. Let your presence become familiar, your value assumed. Next, acquire knowledge that no one else wants to learn: the boring systems, the unglamorous data, the overlooked protocols. Because when chaos erupts, and it will, the one who knows the machinery behind the throne is the one who repairs or replaces it, and often becomes it. Quiet power is built on usefulness, not visibility. You do not need a title to rule. You need influence, trust, and readiness. Practice restraint in public. Speak when silence would make you suspicious. Agree where resistance would raise alarms. Never show your full strength, not even to allies. The moment people can measure you, they begin to limit you. True power grows in ambiguity. Let others wonder where you stand. Let them guess your intentions. Let them assume you are harmless, until your ideas become the policy. Your decisions shape the outcomes. Your fingerprints lie behind every result, and yet your name is never on the stage. This is how power becomes permanent, because it is not built on attention. It is built on architecture. Machiavelli did not want rulers to merely conquer. He wanted them to endure. And endurance comes not from noise, but from depth. Quiet power is immune to scandal, gossip, or rivalry, because it was never built on popularity. It cannot be removed by opinion, because it was not created by applause. So while others rush to claim the crown, step back. Let them exhaust themselves. Let them burn out. Let them make enemies too early and allies too weak. And you build your network, your competence, your leverage. When the storm comes, and it always comes, you are the only one who does not panic. You are already positioned, already trusted, already needed. And when they ask, who will lead now? Your name doesn't even need to be spoken. The silence answers for you. That is quiet power. That is the Machiavellian path. Rule not by the volume of your voice, but by the precision of your rise. They say the world belongs to those who speak loudest. They are wrong. It belongs to those who watch longer, plan deeper, and strike quieter. The unworthy will always rise where the masses are blind. But their reign is never permanent, because time favors the strategist, not the sentimental. So now, ask yourself, have you ever served under a fool? Ever watched incompetence rewarded, and reason ignored? Ever outsmarted someone who didn't even know they were being outplayed? If so, tell your story below. Let your silence end today. Let your strategy become example. And if you're still in the shadows, good, stay hidden. Grow stronger. Your moment is not now, but it will come. Because in the end, the throne never belongs to the loud, it belongs to the one who outlasts them all.